What's going on, everybody? SeanPierceJohnson here, and today we're taking a look at Ping, the Orange OR15. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you know I have a deep love for Orange amplifiers. And when it comes to their line, the OR15 has always been at the top of my list of amps to check out. Why? Because it essentially picks up where the Tiny Terror left off. And since the Tiny Terror basically started the lunchbox amp craze, it seems rather fitting that Orange would be the one to take it to another level. There are a ton of great features that make this a really true player's lunchbox amplifier. So let's take a look at what you're gonna get when you get your OR15. Now first we need to take a look at the cosmetics of it because they scream vintage orange. First off, it's the smallest sleeved orange amplifier in their line. So it comes wrapped in the signature Orange Amp's Tolex, which is very, very nice indeed. But it takes even further cue from the vintage orange amplifiers with the vintage orange logo and of course, picks only graphics. Pretty sweet, pretty vintage. I like it. But what sets it apart from the other Orange lunchbox amps is that we have a full 3-band EQ with bass, middle, and treble. Very nice. It's not a shape control like the Dark Terror, and it's not a tone control like the Tiny Terror. So we get a little bit more tone sculpting capabilities. Now, the thing that I really love about the OR15 is that you kind of get that classic Orange tone, but you get the modern appointment of having a 2-buffered effects loop. Very, very cool. As someone who likes to use effects loops with his time-based effects, I am all for that, especially since I get to pair it with this cool Orange amp sound. And of course, like all the other Orange lunchbox heads, you can flip it down to half power. In this case, you start with a full 15 watts and then can knock it down to 7 watts. It has 12 AX7 tubes in the preamp, EL84s in the power section, and a 12 AT7 buffering the effects loop. All tube, Class A. What more could you want? How about to hear this thing? So let's do this. Let's start with my trusty Les Paul. I have a nice plethora of pedals that we're going to test out this amp with on the floor, and we'll go over those as they come into play. And then we're going to check out all knobs at noon, kind of turn them around, see what we can get out of it, see how much gain we're working with, and we're just going to have a bit of fun. And then I'm going to show you some of the sounds that I've been able to conjure up with the OR15. So let's get started, shall we? It's so satisfying when you have an amplifier that you just put everything at 12 o'clock and it immediately sounds good. Yeah, you don't have to do a whole lot, and it's not masking a whole lot of playing. I can hear every bit of my fingers and all sorts of imperfections in my playing. Yes, because nobody's perfect, including myself. I'm not a perfect guitar player, but I love it. It's not getting in the way of playing. The only thing that you could really want is maybe add on a little bit of reverb. So we'll add on a TC Hall of Fame 2 with some plate reverb. Just gives things a little bit of space and makes it feel a little bit bigger. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorite things with amplifiers is put everything at noon, and that's really, if it sounds good there, it's going to be a good time. You're going to find a lot out of this amplifier. I think what I want to find first is my sound. Now, I play a rock reverb, so that's a higher gain sound, so let's turn up the gain a little bit. Now I'm just going to start playing some riffs of mine, see what I can do with the EQ, and find the sound that works with the music that I make. Oh, yeah. Just with a little bit of extra verb on there for that sense of space and to make me a little bit more comfortable, I guess. I mean, that sounds pretty dang good. What is pretty remarkable with this same sound is that I can actually turn down the volume on my neck pickup to clean it up a little bit, even with all that gain on there. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, so good. I don't think Orange is getting this amp back. I think I'm keeping it. Sorry, hon. I want to keep this one. Anyway, yeah, I'm totally digging it. With this sound, I can do a lot, and it's compact and it has an effects loop, but it's a single channel amplifier. So, maybe you want like a clean sound. You don't really have that with this sound. I mean, you can clean it up and you can do all right, but it's not a clean tone. But what if I told you the OR15 could do a clean tone? Because it can. Turn down the preamp gain all the way. Next, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the volume and turn it up all the way. Now, I know this probably seems a little weird, but trust me, it gets better. So now what you want to do is then we're going to put all EQ at noon. And then what you want to do is slowly bring up the preamp gain. So let's go to our middle position and we'll strum a chord. And when you smack it, you get a little bit of extra harmonic content. And you can get a little extra sparkle by turning up the treble. Say you want something that's a little bit more classic American, go ahead, scoop out your mids, add a little bit more bass, neck pickup it. Yeah, and it kind of works. And then, if you want, you could throw on some compression. Now, I have a Philosopher's Tone on the floor from Pigtronics, which I've always liked as a compressor. But that actually helps rein in some of the hot output from the pickup. And the treble control also adds just a little bit of added sparkle. But even then... some verb and some echo. Yeah, it can do a clean tone and work as a pedal platform. Let's add on some chorus from a Chase Bliss Warp vinyl to that. Yeah. Yeah. It can actually act as a pretty darn good clean amp. Now, for me, with my taste, I do like to keep the bass a little bit more managed, a little bit more mid-range, because I like muff-style fuzz. Now, I don't have a big muff on this pedal board. What I do have is the Pelican Noiseworks Pelotar. And that thing, well, it just sounds like this. One of the things that is great, of course, is going back to the old school, and that means cranking the master volume for something really getting that kind of power amp soak. Now, you can do that very easily on the 15-watt setting, and I will show you that. But you can also do it just as easily on the 7-watt, and I think we should listen to what that difference would be. So let's get ourselves a nice kind of classic rock crunch tone, and we will check out the difference between the 15-watt setting and the 7-watt setting. audible difference between the 15 watt setting and the 7 watt setting. Whereas on the 15 watt, I hear obviously a little bit more power and a little bit more volume. You don't get that on the 7 watt setting. But what I also hear is that the 7 watt setting is a little spongier, not as sharp, a little rounder around the edges, if you will. You get a little bit more articulation and sort of gritty chime on the top end with the 15 watt setting. At least that's what I'm hearing. But with that in mind, you could very easily use this in a small recording studio, like at your home. Turn the amp up all the way and not really annoy the neighbors. I'm not feeling too many vibrations from the other room. I'm really just getting it all in here. Well, I'm getting it all in here for the entirety of this demo. But at the same time, you don't feel it as much. Your neighbors aren't going to feel it as much. 7 watts is going to be a little friendlier to all. But aside from we've just heard, that's not all the OR15 can do. There are tons of different tones that you can get out of it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab a few of my favorite guitars off the rack and show you a few more sample settings of what I've conjured up with the OR15. that was the Orange OR15 amplifier. Man, I am so glad that I finally got the chance to check this thing out. It is way more than I thought it would be. I had been expecting a vintage flavored amplifier, especially given the aesthetics, but there's so much more to it than just the vintage orange sound, which sounds good. But the fact that with one channel, you can get a clean tone, a crunch tone for classic rock, and a high gain tone for hard rock and metal tones. It's unbelievable the amount of gain that you have on tap, and then to be able to get the clean tone. I'm kind of speechless with that. That's pretty incredible. The expanded EQ controls with the 3 bands over the original 1 tone knob is definitely, in my book, a great upgrade. And of course, the effects loop. It brings the vintage flavor into the modern era, and you can do a whole lot with it. I am very sad that I'm going to have to part with it, and I don't get to hang on to it because I would love to hang on to it, but you know, I think I'm pretty well suited with the old rocker burb here, although it kind of wants a baby brother, right? I thought so. It wants a baby brother. Why not let it stay? Anyway, I want to know what you guys thought of the OR15. Let me know what you thought of the amp in the comments below, and please join me today by clicking that subscribe button when you see it. Thank you so much for joining me for this demo and review of the OR15. And until next time, my friends, I wish you all the greatest of tone and happy stomping. Cheers.